Yo, what up? Brad Martineau here, and in this video, I would like to share a tool with you. In fact, I'm going to give it to you. This tool is called the return, and what it does is it helps you get crystal clear on what you want out of your business. That's why it's called the return. You're going to invest into the business. There's something that you want to get out, and what I found is it's really, really good to know exactly what you want to get out, because then when you go to make decisions in your business, and when you go to choose which work you're going to do, you can make that choice intentionally so that you're building the business that you actually want. Not getting lost in the weeds of the day-to-day work and then waking up one day and being like, oh, well, crap, that's the business I have, but it's not actually the one that I want. There's a quote that I love by Robert Heinlein. He says, in the absence of clearly defined goals, as in a return tool that I'm about to show you, in the absence of clearly defined goals, we become strangely loyal to daily trivia until ultimately we become enslaved by it. In the absence of a very clear outcome of what we want to get out of the business, what we'll do is we'll get lost in the weeds of the business, and then we'll listen to every voice out there telling us what kind of business we should build or what kind of lifestyle we should want. And then we'll wake up one day and we might have a business that by business terms is wildly successful or mildly successful. It's successful, but by our terms, it's not. See, I believe that the primary responsibility of the business, before we get into pure monetary profit, before we get into number of clients, number of leads, number of sales, amount of revenue, team size, how cool your office is, before we get into any of that, the business's primary responsibility is to deliver back to the business owner, me and you, exactly what you want. So it just then makes sense. Therefore, it makes sense that we ought to know what we want ahead of time. And after personal painful experience of meandering because I wasn't clear about what I wanted, I tried a couple of different processes that people have to get clear on your ideal day and whatever. I came up with this tool. Again, it's called the return, and it helped me get crystal clear in a very practical and simple way so that I could stay focused on what I actually wanted to get. So I want to share that with you. Hopefully it will have the same impact for you that it's had for the other people I've shared it with, because every time I've shared, like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. A lot of times what happens, usually two big outcomes that happen with this when people first go through it. One of them is that people realize that the business that they're building is not on track to give them what they want. It's like, oh crap, I got to pivot. I'm like, yeah, you're welcome, by the way, because otherwise you'd end up in a business you don't even want. The other outcome that happens is people realize that they are significantly closer to already having everything that they actually want, which means they can stop worrying, they can stop stressing, they can stop freaking out, they can stop being in a hurry because like, oh no, like I'm either already there or it's literally like one minor micro decision away. All right. Anyway, enough context. Let's dive in. We're going to go to the drawing board, and I'm going to draw this. I'm going to draw this out for you and show you the tool. All right. So here we go. First thing we have to get clear on is this is the return. Okay, that's what we're talking about. And I've got another sheet I'm going to show you. I'm going to draw a picture first, so I'll give you this one in just a second. It's called the return. Now, the first hurdle that comes up when we think return is we think, we've got to come back here for dramatic effect, we think return's only about money, and it's not. There's actually three currencies. There's three currencies we invest in our business, and then there's three currencies that we can get back out. We want to have a return of those currencies that's bigger than the investment so that we maximize profit. Not just financial profit, but this thing that I like to call life profit. Okay, so with that, we'll go back to the drawing board. Okay, so what we're going to put in here is life profit because that is the goal. All right, now let's talk about the three currencies. First, we're just going to list them off. I'm going to grab some more handy dandy colored markers here to help me out. All right, so the first one we're going to do over here is we've got time. Time is a currency, and time is one of the currencies that we're going to invest in our business, and it's one of the currencies that the business ought to be giving back to us. So we have time. Second, we have energy, okay? Energy is what I spend my time doing, okay? So we got energy over here, and then the last one, I know that I said that the return is not just about monetary profit, but it definitely includes monetary profit. So down here, we're going to put money. So when we look at our business and we look at the business that we're trying to build, we want to build one that gives us a sufficient return across all three currencies, time, energy, and money. Now, where it can get tricky is capturing a clear target of what it is that we're trying to get here. I've been through some exercises on time where it's like, design your ideal day. It's like, yeah, but my ideal day never happens, right? You can design it, but like it's not even pragmatic because like I've got kids and then things are all over the place. So that one didn't quite work for me. So it's like, all right, how do I create a visual it's got to be good enough that I can actually look at it and it'll keep me on focus, number one. Number two, it's got to be practical enough that I can just start using it. I don't want to take 18 hours or 18 days or 3 months to figure out what this is. And then it's got to be simple enough that I can use it and adjust it. Another dramatic effect, sorry. as I learn what I actually want. Okay, what we're actually going to put down on here is what we think we want right now. And then as we start to pursue it and as we start to accomplish different pieces, we'll get clear on like, oh, you know what? I didn't actually care about that. I actually care more about this part. I care more about energy than I do about time, or time than I do about money, vice versa. Now, obviously, at some point, if you have no money, then you're probably going to care about that more than the other things, but we'll get into that. All right, back to the drawing board. Okay, so here's what I found to be the most practical, pragmatic, simple way to create this and to define targets for time, energy, and money. That's easy to update, easy to stay focused on, and then guides all of your decisions. So there's two aspects of time, so we're just going to draw a little divider line right here. We're going to do two aspects of energy that we want to target, and then we're going to do two aspects of money. So on time, rather than trying to do like, hey, what's the ideal day look like, which it's not really going to happen, what I found to be the most successful is the first thing we want to define is what does a typical amazing week look like for us? And when I say amazing, I don't mean like, oh, and I never had to go into work. I mean like just like a solid week that's like, that works. That's really, really good. So when I go to define this, I'm asking questions and I'm thinking of stuff, just come back here. I'm thinking of stuff like, okay, on a general week, how many days a week am I working? And then how many hours a day? And then probably what time do I start and what time do I get done? Do I work on the weekends? Do I work at night? Do I want my business to be set up where I don't have to think about anything after 4 o'clock in the afternoon or 3 o'clock in the afternoon? So what we're trying to define here is just what does a typical ideal week look like? And it lets you look at the entire week. And some people are like, I'm an early morning person. Other people are like, no, I'm a late night person. Other people are like, I'd rather cram stuff on the weekends. Other people are like, I don't want to touch the weekends. You get to define it for you, by the way. It's your return. It's your life and your profit. So you get to pick. So you don't have to listen to what anybody else says. Just decide what you want. Try it. And then if that doesn't work, try something else till you get to like, okay, this works for me. All right. So the first thing is a more narrow focus of what does each week look like? Then we need to balance that with a year. What does it look like over the course of the year? So this is where we start to fit in, okay, vacations, anniversaries, holidays. What do you want to be able to do and have over the course of a year? So what I've found is when I balance both of these, when I define and get really clear on this, and then I get really clear on this captures quarters, it captures months, it captures all of that, and this captures the day. So I've got a narrow view, and then I've got a much more expanded view, and it lets me get really clear on like, all right, look, if in my business I can work, let's say 4 days a week and I can work 5 hours a day like in the office and I don't have to do anything on the weekends and I don't have to do anything in the evening and I can start at, let's say 9 o'clock and then over the course of a year, every quarter I can do a 2 or 3 day vacation with my family or whatever. It's like, that works for me. Okay, boom, that's what then I got to build a business that allows me to do that. I can't go build a business that makes me work on the weekends if that's the outcome that I want, right? Okay. So time, narrow, and then a broader and expanded view. All right, next up, we got energy. So energy really breaks down, again, into two components. The first one, energy, again, is where and how you spend your time. So the first one is, what is your role in the business? Like, what are your responsibilities? What do you have to do in the business? For some of us, it's like, I love sales. I just want to sell. Other people are like, I don't want to sell at all. I just want to work with clients. Other people are like, I don't actually want to be involved in the weeds of any of the day-to-day work. I just want to be in a leadership position. That's fine. Define what you want your role to be. You get to decide. Remember, your life, your profit. So define what you want your role to be. Now, this is where you're going to start to see, as you get clear on the role that you want to have, and then also the role that you don't want to have, the responsibilities you want to take on and the ones you don't want to take on, you'll recognize that this is going to directly inform your business decisions in terms of, well, who's your next hire and who do you hire and how do you create roles around you so that you can do the thing that you want and have other people that are better at the things that you don't want to do come in and do those things. So define what you want your role to be. And then the other part of energy is actually not what we spend our time doing, but what we spend our time thinking about. So I just call these excitement factors. So excitement is going to go in there. So on the energy side, you want to define, well, what's my role? What am I going to be doing? And then what else needs to be true about this business so that I can be excited about it and not spend my time worrying? Okay. Now, that could look like the quality of product or service or program that you deliver. That could look like, we're going to come back here. Okay. That could look just like, I want it to be recurring revenue, not one-time sales. I want there to be X amount of profit. Like whatever it is, so that you're excited about the business and you don't spend your time worrying. We want to be very clear about that so that you can intentionally build that into your business model, intentionally communicate that to the team members that you surround yourself so that ultimately you end up with the energy that you want, which is, again, one of the currencies that we consider in life profit. Okay, so we got role, we got excitement factors. All right, now let's come to money. Money's pretty straightforward and pretty easy, but I also found that there's two different angles that are really good to look at with money. The first one is income, obviously. So monthly income, like how much money do you want to make? And want's a dangerous word. I'm kind of throwing around some dangerous words, but in a second, I'm going to go back through and give you a couple of principles of how to define this so that this becomes a useful exercise. It doesn't become a depressing exercise, and it also doesn't become an unrealistic, like theoretical made up exercise. So want is dangerous, but what is the monthly income that I'm going to say want for now, okay? And then the other thing we got to balance that with is we got to look over here, and I'm just going to put EV for enterprise value. Or in other words, big windfalls, windfall opportunities, or I'm actually building value into the business because it's something that I'm planning on selling, and that's how I'm going to be rewarded financially is in the enterprise value. Now, these are not either or. None of these are either or. This is and. You might not have, for your particular business, you might not have any enterprise value needs. It might be purely income. You might not have any income needs. It might be purely enterprise value. Guess what? You get to decide. Remember, this is your life profit. So you get to decide. Okay, so that's it. Those are the 6 things. As we look at the business, we look at what we're going to go build into our business, the type of business that we want, we're getting clear on, all right, well, cool. What do I want my week to look like? What do I want the year to look like? What do I want my role to be? What are some of the other factors that need to be there so that I can be excited about it? How much money do I need to make? And then what's the enterprise value or windfall opportunities in the business? If you fill this out, when you fill this out, okay, and then you stick it up on a wall, it becomes a very clear target. And as you start to, again, make decisions about, hey, well, should I hire this person or should we go get that office space or should we go get whatever? It's like, well, okay, does it fit with the return that you said that you wanted? Now, let me give you a couple of other, I'm just going to grab another sheet up here. Let me give you a couple of other pointers. Oh, not that one. I already wrote on that one. Let me give you a couple other pointers, okay, about this. As you go to fill this out, this is again from Painful Experience, which is code for sometimes I'm not as smart as I think I am. All right, so a couple of principles to follow when you fill this out. The first one I call the 85% principle, which means if I can get to 85% of this, right? Like if this can happen 85% of the time, that's like 100% really, really, really great, okay? Same thing over here, and maybe it's 90%, right? Maybe it's 95, maybe it's 80 for you, whatever. But if I can get to this most of the time, then that's pretty freaking amazing, and I'll take it. So when we fill this out, we're not writing this down where it has to be so specific that we're like, oh, well, I said I only wanted to start work at 10 o'clock, and that last Thursday, I had to go in at 9:30. This sucks. My business is broken. No, like 80, 90% of the time, right? Let's be practical with this. Okay, the second one is this principle. I'm going to call it pragmatic. Now, this one, pragmatic and practical, they're kind of dangerous words to use because they could be like, well, don't think that's not practical for you to think you could do that. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is you're going to run this whole thing through a filter of the reality of your life. Let me give you an example. Let me tell you a story. So when I defined this for the first time and I was doing time, I had my week and my week was fine, but I went to my year and I was like, all right, here's what I want, right? This is where the word want gets very dangerous. Here's what I want. What I want is I want to go on a week-long vacation every single quarter with my kids. Sounds great, right? Sounds amazing. I have 5 kids. I was going to say at the time, but I still have 5 kids. Anyway, I have 5 kids. And I was like, hey, I want to go on a week-long vacation with my kids. And then I want to do 2 week-long trips with my wife as well. And then I had a bunch of other stuff that I was going to cram in there. And then I stepped back and I was like, wait a minute. Okay, hold on. So look, I said, wait a minute. I have 2 girls that are in competitive dance. I have 3 boys that are in other sports. We literally, in the Martineau household, we literally had 1 week a year, it was the 3rd week of July, that nobody had anything. So I came back to this and I was like, all right, look, there's got to be an element of pragmatic, which is, the reality is I was chasing what I thought other people would tell me that I should want when I said I want all these vacations. I'm not actually that much of a vacationer. I like to take breaks, I like to go have fun, but it would not fit into our schedule, like logistically. So maybe I should just change that to logistically. Like logistically, is that even realistic? Not is it possible, because I could definitely have made that happen. The question is it pragmatic or logistically possible given the current realities of your family situation? So just make sure you run that filter through. Otherwise, I would have been chasing something that there was no way we could have actually taken advantage of, and then it would have been frustrating for me. All right, last principle. This is floors and ceilings. Okay, so what we're defining here is the floor of acceptability. Okay, so this is the acceptable floor here. We are not defining the ceiling of possibility. Let me just explain what I mean by this because this is important. So that says ceiling of possibility, just remember that. Okay, what we're defining is the acceptable floor. So what I mean here is, and this is the hardest part, by the way, okay, a little bit of a warning. The hardest part is to define the acceptable floor because as entrepreneurs, we want to be able to create these amazing, amazing things, which we can, and we don't want to like acknowledge that we're going to settle for something lower. So the acceptable floor means What of these things, you want to define a version of this that's like, all right, cool. If this is what I could get and I could ride this for the next 20 or 30 years, what would it be? And usually the week, the year, the role, all these things, usually that means that they're a little bit lower than what we aspire to or that we sort of hope for and have anticipation around, right? So the acceptable floor might mean that you're going to put less income. It might mean that you're going to work a couple of more hours a week. It might mean that you're going to take a little bit, a couple of less vacations. But that would work for me. So a really good exercise with that. I heard this from a buddy of mine. He was talking to somebody, some coach or something, and they were talking about income. And the coach asked him, hey, how much money do you need to make? And I don't know. It was like, I'm going to make $1 million. He's like, okay, cool. I have a question for you. What can you do with $1 million that you cannot do with $500,000, with $500,000? And he's like, nothing really other than play extravagantly. It's like, oh, okay. So 500 is actually the number. I have another question for you. What can you do with 500 that you cannot do with 250? And he was like, oh, I guess not really other than play extravagantly. It's like, okay, cool. And he kept going down. Now, I don't know what the actual numbers were, but this is the point, okay? The point is that the floor of acceptability is us getting really clear on like, okay, yes, I want more. Yes, there is a higher ceiling of possibility that I'm going to try to get to, 100%. However, let's start by defining the acceptable floor, meaning in order for this business to work for me, like for it to win for me, it has to at least give me this. If it does, great. If it doesn't work and we're shutting it down and we're going to go try something else. That's the acceptable floor, okay? Then we should leave room in all of that so that we can then pursue the ceiling of possibility. And over time, what we want to do is we want to take initially our acceptable floor might be here, and then we're going to get it to here. This will become, maybe this starts out as the ceiling. This will become the new acceptable floor. Then there's a new ceiling of possibility. So we're going to constantly be raising what the acceptable floor is in our business. But we start by saying, all right, if this is it and I could do this for the next 20, 30 years, man, I would have an amazing life and I would have nothing to complain about. And I want to go get more, which is great. All right. Okay. So 3 principles, 85%. If we get to 85% of this, that's 100% pretty awesome. We want it to be pragmatic, logistically pragmatic, that we actually look at our family and our personal situation and make sure that we could actually take advantage of what we got here. And then floors and ceilings. We're defining the acceptable floor, not the ceiling of possibility. And then once we've defined the acceptable floor, the business has to at least do that in order for it to work. And then we're going to go pursue a higher ceiling, and we're going to continue to try to push up what the ceiling of possibility is. Okay? So this is the return document. I promise you, another dramatic effect pause. I promise you, if you define this, and if you get clear on this, and if you post this in a place where you can look at it, what it will do is it will guide your decisions. There'll be lots of times like, hey, what should I do here? And the first question, like if you get on a coaching call with me, like, hey, what should I do here? One of my first questions, like, well, what are you trying to make happen, right? What are you trying to make happen? Because that should be the ultimate report card for your decisions. And by the way, the ultimate report card for your business. So you define, sorry, I should come back to here. I'm getting my dramatic pauses messed up. All right. So you should define what you want as a target, post it so that it can be influencing your decisions on a day-to-day basis. Then every month, every quarter, you should just be checking in and using this as a report card to tell you how your business is doing overall. Because the business, again, the business's primary responsibility is to give you the life profit that you want. That's why this sheet is so helpful. Okay, so if you're a visual person, this sheet might work perfectly. You can just draw this out on a piece of paper. If you want a copy of this, except not handwritten, but like designed out, and this other one I'm going to show you, then just type a comment down below and be like, yo, this is awesome, and can you send that to me? And if we have enough people that care about it, then I'll put it together. I'll probably even throw in some examples of how other people have filled it out. So just let me know. If you're like a visual person, you could draw this out and it gives you clarity. If you're more like, I want a clean and organized type person, then I've got another copy for you here. So here's how this works. This section right here is the daily, weekly. So you'd write it in, and you could type it in. Actually, it's a Google Doc, so you can type it in here. And then this is like your annually. This right here is what do you want your roles and responsibilities to be? This is what are the excitement factors. This is your monthly income. This is your enterprise value and or windfall opportunities. And then this just like, yo, is there anything else that we didn't really get, which you could write around the outside here. But if there's anything else that you want to put down so you can be like, this is what the business has to give me, then just drop it down here in this bottom section. All right, so that's it. That's the tool I have for you today. It is the return. And again, if you fill it out and if you post it and if you use it, what it will do is it will get you to the business that you want faster, and it will highlight the changes that need to be made in the current business so that you can make it get to be the thing that you want. All right, if you have any questions or comments, let me know. If you like this video, like it on the YouTube. Also, what I would love to, this is really helpful for me, is if there was something in here that shifted your perspective, or was like, oh, that's really amazing, or oh, that's what I've been looking for. I would love to hear that down in the comments. It's super helpful for me. And then also, and more importantly, for everybody else that comes and watches the video, many times the most valuable piece is what other people, the insights that other people have that are watching the video. So please post it down in the comments below. That's it. I will catch you in the next video. All right. Peace.